This is the Simply Home podcast, Ladies Who Build, a podcast for women by women. This is Ashley Wainscott
and Michelle Mullins. After spending the last 10 years revolutionizing the construction industry and raising the bar of the contracting world, we are inviting you on our journey as we continuously learn how to be extraordinary and thrive in this industry. Now come hang with us. Okay, welcome to episode 5 of the Simply Home podcast. Today we are talking about how to find your niche in business, or niche in business, however you say it. And a lot of what we went through in the beginning was a lot of trial and error, but what we have found looking back that there are really some key level steps and key level kind of growth points that really can kind of get you situated in your niche. And we're really excited to share.
Yeah. Let's hit some high points.
Okay.
Before we dive in
Yeah.
and tell everyone all the goodness we're about to bestow upon their ears. So we're going to talk about target markets, competitive analysis, our unique offer, how we found our value, and what you should be paying attention to before you enter into a certain market.
Yeah. I think those are pretty good high level.
I mean, I agree.
Yeah. So that's it. Those are the notes.
Okay. Whoa!
Where would you like to start?
So Michelle and I were comparing notes earlier this morning, and we were very much aligned. We didn't even have to get on the same page because we were already there, which it happens often when you've spent 10 years with someone that you think alike somewhat.
Yeah.
But I say we start with competitive analysis.
Okay.
So in the beginning of starting the business, I did not have a competitive analysis. I was not a marketing guru. So I just went solely off of the gap that we saw in the market, right? Which we've talked about before in other episodes of like, we saw this gap, we saw this opportunity, and that's what we listened to. And then as we move through the months, the days, the years, it was just listening to our clients. Like, is this actually a gap in the market? Is this something that we not only think is great, but they think is great? And to me, it's listening to the people, your clients or your potential clients. It's listening to your gut, and it's listening to the universe. And I know that gets hippy dippy, but I think opportunities present themselves in the universe, no matter what you believe in. And I think that people and clients or potential clients will tell you exactly what they're looking for and exactly what they need. And if you ask the right questions and you really do a deep dive, you'll get answers. I don't know that everyone knows exactly what they need, but I feel like with a lot of question asking, it'll get you to understand what exactly they need. And then, of course, I think your gut, like, does this feel right? Is this really difficult all the time? Not just in like tough moments, but is it difficult all the time? And is this a really hard thing that people just don't want? Mm-hmm. Or is it something they want?
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point with the feedback part of it, because that was kind of when I was overthinking this, kind of how to find your niche, is getting constant feedback. And we still get it to this day from our clients and from our team of how we can be better. But I think your feedback that you were getting from clients, like what they wanted, was kind of your market analysis, where you were like, didn't even know you were doing it, But I think it's interesting because you might think, like in the beginning, you might think this is what I want to create and this is where I want it to go. But the feedback that you get could really direct you in a different way. And it's not, maybe it doesn't have to be so drastic, but you might think like, oh, I know what clients want. And then they start giving you the feedback and you're like, oh, you actually want this. That's so interesting. I would have never thought, but let me target to that. So I think that that's huge. You really have to be open to change in the beginning, and we both are. We really are still to this point. But I think that's what has made the business work so well over the years, because we were very, very open to anything like probably so much so that we were really open to like all of the feedback we were getting, and we wanted to be better every single day from it.
Yeah. And it's setting your business up so that you're always getting feedback, because I feel like in a way we're always getting feedback in a good way. We are open to it. We invite it. And so clients always share feedback with us. Like, yes, I really liked that, and here's why, or I would have preferred this way, and here's why. And I feel like if you're not open to it, people know and they can sense that they're not going to share.
Yeah.
And not only, I mean, because we have it throughout the whole process in a way, but then we officially have like our survey at the end of the project, right? Where you're going to collect the closeout
meeting
review form. You're going to collect, but it's not the person, it's not the people that they worked with.
Right.
Which I feel like creates a totally different opportunity for feedback, because they don't feel like they're hurting feelings. They don't feel like they're calling anyone out. They can be totally honest with you when you do that.
Yeah. That has been key, to not have the team that worked on that project there. And it's only because it makes the client feel more comfortable. And I really phrase that meeting, like, so we do that at every project, at the end of each project. And I intentionally want to do it in person, because I think it speaks volumes to say, like, you're really important to me, and I want to spend this time with you because your feedback is so important. But I also make sure to phrase the beginning of that meeting to say, listen, we really love feedback and we don't take it personally. And we want to hear the good, the bad, the ugly, because then I go back to my team. We talk about it. How can we adjust? Oh, yes, that's a good point that she saw that. I didn't know she caught that. Right. So you're constantly in this like improvement mode. And that's really what I tell the client is like, hey, this is not personal. You could totally love this person as a human being, but here's some feedback of what we could do differently on a future project.
Yeah.
It's really great.
And we don't truly know how something impacts someone, right?
Yeah.
And I think these are the keys to making your business better and better and better, of really digging in and finding out and being curious what did land with them really well, right? Because what if you're investing all of this time, and it could be in any capacity as an individual or a business, what if you're spending all this time, you're spinning your wheels on something that gets back very little, like the return.
Yeah.
What am I trying to say? The return in effort, the return in efficiency.
Right. Like the output you put out is that, you work so hard and you put so much effort into this, and then to know that it's not even going in the direction it should be going.
Right. If you're putting in this much effort and you're only getting out this much.
Right.
But then you do, 2% of effort on this and it has an 80% impact. Obviously, you're going to want to spend more time doing this,
For
right?
Sure.
And I don't know why, but in my head, that kind of aligns with like how you follow leads.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're getting a ton of leads from this source, you should invest your time into this source. And I feel like that's the same with processes and to-dos and tasks in the company. You should be investing time in those things that have high impact, not the things that have low impact.
Right.
And that's where we find out, or like these closeout meetings, clients can say, this really meant a lot to me when you guys did that. Mm-hmm. And we might be like, oh, that took 5 minutes to do. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't we do more of that?
Right. Mm-hmm. It's so true. I think that kind of ties into, like, in addition to kind of how to find your niche in the beginning, is there a problem to be solved? And, I think for you, when you first started, was obviously there was a problem because, well, there was just a need, right? Maybe it wasn't a problem, but it was more of a need that didn't exist before. But then you having the ability to say, yes, there's also contractors out there, but what are they doing so I could be different? Or where can I fill the gap of what they're not doing, Mm-hmm. So, there's always like more, like there's brilliant ideas to be had all day long. But if there is a need for it, and if there is someone already doing it, great. But what are they not doing, or what are they doing that could be better? because then you become their direct competition, and you could totally like change the game because you're doing it better.
Yes. And you did just remind me too, one of the things I was thinking about was saturated markets, right? When it's like economics 101, where if you see a gap in the market, then that's great, right? Pursue that, but also be aware of what is a super saturated market when there's already 30, 40 companies doing something really well, right? And it kind of reminds me of, for some reason, like a ride share company. Like at this point in the game, you would have to differentiate yourself so much, and you'd have to find a gap in the market that people would want to go with a new company than just not thinking and going with like Uber or Lyft, right?
Yeah.
Most people know Uber or Lyft. So for a company to enter into the marketplace now, it's already so saturated. They already have a huge amount of the market share, I could imagine. I haven't done any research, but that's what I think of, right? Is like also being aware of the market that you're entering into. And part of that is doing a lot of research initially, which ties into the competitive analysis. Like you need to be doing research on your competitors, and you need to be understanding what is out there and what am I competing with, and do I actually differ all that much, right? Because why wouldn't someone just call or go to the company they already know?
Right.
That takes a lot of effort to like get reestablished with a new company.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because, you know, any idea or any business, it doesn't have to be new and like, oh, no one's ever thought of this before, I'm building it out of, you know, thin air. I mean, that's also really cool. But also you could just be doing something that already exists, but just better than the competitor. However, and not to say that a company can't come in and be competitive with Uber and Lyft, but you're right. Like you would have to be doing something so drastically different that really draws people in. Like maybe making free rides. Like, I don't even know at this point what would be so drastic of a change. But, you know, like kudos to someone who could like really hone in on that and be like, no, I'm really passionate about this because I believe this is where the future of rideshare is going, whatever, right? Like, honestly, like passion creates the impossible.
It does, because it gets you through. I mean, it's the drive and motivation we've been talking about, and it gets you through all of those rough patches where you don't know if you can continue on. The other thing I was going to say about the competitive analysis is that even though you don't have a fancy schmancy marketing company you're working with, and in the beginning, I don't think that that's usually a part of your budget unless, you know, unless you have investors and you're getting money pumped into you, right? Like that's something I could see being doable. But when you're starting off a small business or you're starting off an idea, in my opinion, what we were talking about earlier is hitting those points of how you can decide if this is your niche, right? And how you can decide if this is something you should pursue. And then as you grow, we have been able to hire a marketing company or a branding company to help us really hone in on what our unique offer is, and really hone in on, here are your competitors, here's what they offer, and then here's what you offer, and some additional ideas of what you could offer in order to help you stand out.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can do a really thorough analysis. Like they're offering these 5 things, and these are the 5 things you guys offer that nobody else does. And then here are some more ideas of things that line up with your values that you could also offer.
Okay. If we could go back in time and restart over from the beginning, would marketing be a key hire in the beginning?
Well, you gotta throw a curveball
Like,
at me
in
like
my
this.
mind, I'm like, yeah, right? Because we were so focused on building the company, right? We were doing all the ground level marketing ourselves, which was fun. It was cool, but it was also super time consuming. So then I'm thinking, you know, you were just saying, well, if you had a company that was like pumping money into you, or like investors pumping money into you, I think I would probably hire marketing.
Oh, then yeah.
Yeah.
If we had endless amounts of money, then for sure. And I mean, honestly, now that you say that, I think even if we did go back into back into the beginning stages, I think that I probably would hire someone in marketing.
Yeah.
But the difference is that I would hire someone that really knows what they're doing and who is really good at what they do. That number for their salary or for, outside consultant, whatever that is, that number may look really scary. But if those people can deliver, and if they have hard deliverables at 30, 60, 90 days that you can really measure and be like, this is working, which everything has a metric, everything you can measure, right? In some form or fashion or capacity. So if they're hitting those, then it's working, right? You're getting leads. If marketing is done right, in my opinion, and you're focused on, you have a clear goal and you're focused on getting leads, then you know if you're getting leads.
Yeah. And like that person pays for themselves.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yes.
So.
They should be.
Yeah.
But I think in the beginning we were hiring people who are so wonderful, but I would say that we were paying as little as possible to just cover our bases.
Yeah.
And I don't think we fully understood that if you pay X, you'll get 5X if you hire somebody that really knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
We probably actually have lost some money.
Oh, I'm sure.
In that sense with marketing.
Yeah.
You know?
Because we also wanted, like, our belief was, let's hire super green so then we could train them and pay them less. When in reality, now knowing what we know, we wouldn't do that again.
Yeah, because the green cost us a lot of green.
The green, wow. That's a word. Yes, it did.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
This is the Church of Ashley Michelle.
That's a hashtag.
Yeah, come to pray with us. We're dropping words of wisdom here.
Yeah. Okay, what was the other niche sector you had pointed out? Was that all? Is that all that's in there?
Yeah, I think my brain is on empty.
Okay.
I mean, we were talking about target market.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how to identify who's your target market as well. I think that can be tricky because, you have to pay attention, right?
Yeah.
You have to really listen.
Well, so remember we did a couple years ago, our ideal client. We named her,
Kara.
She's cute, she's fun. It's Kara.
It's Kara, which ironically we have a Kara.
We do have a Kara, and it's not that Kara. But
she could be that Kara.
But we did that market analysis, and I think that we thought our clientele was different until that came through. And now, so that was a good point. Like when we did that market analysis and to see who our client was, then we could market towards that client, right? So all of our marketing kind of shifted to, okay, well, what is that person in how old they are, right? Like what do they want to hear and what they want to see, and when are they logging on to social media? Like that was a big one with our social media team, was that age group logs on at this time. And so we wanted to make sure our posts were going out at that time. And then that age group is really attracted to these types of like aesthetics. Okay, let's post more of that aesthetic. So it's all kind of, once you get your target client, then all of your marketing goes around that. And it's all this like subconscious work happening underneath. It's like brewing. And then you start getting more of those target clients.
Yeah, marketing is a blessing and a curse depending on how you look at it, because it's a blessing in that we can deliver the information we need to inform our target market, our carers of the world, of what they want and need to hear. But we're not manipulating. I wouldn't say here at Simply Home we're manipulating. I know marketing can feel really manipulative in how it conveys things for different products and services, but we use it in a way of how we create content to inform leads, clients, whomever is out there, of what we're actually trying to do.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to say it, you have to convey it really clearly so that someone gets it, which that's all a part of marketing.
Yeah, totally.
Right. Here we are thinking we're saying something and somebody, probably 10 years ago. And I'm sure clients were thinking, I have no idea what they're talking about. Or I have no idea what they're saying.
Yeah.
Which is rolled into our development of expectations, right? How are we moving through our process and continuously delivering clear expectations throughout the whole process, from every step of the way, beginning to end, where clients understand what's happening next. They know what's happening next. They've seen the calendar. They're not surprised by anything, because we're continuously communicating. I mean, that's all marketing, you know?
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah. Like the expectations meetings are marketing. Even like we have weekly client meetings is, you know, we tell our team, even though you're not on the sales department, you're still in sales, right? You're still selling yourself. You're still selling the company that you're with. And so everything that comes out of your mouth has to make, like, we do a lot of practice of what is the company language and what are our do's and don'ts that we say and we don't say, because it all revolves around making the client feel comfortable and making them know that we're knowledgeable and we have their back. And it's one thing for me to say, yeah, I'm a contractor that's not going to leave your side, I promise, right? But how many contractors tell people that? And so everything that we do has to physically show them that we're really here and we're not leaving until this is done, you know, right, and the way they expect it, until it's 100% complete. So it all ties into the end product of like what we promised. And we're so big on keeping our promises, to like, not to a fault, because I don't think that you can be, but to a point where, okay, if you are going to promise that to a client, you got to figure out how to make that happen. Of course, we'll be here to help you, but like, do not fault on that. And if you can't deliver, explain when you can deliver it, right? Like, it's just, we just want to be the Joe Schmo.
Yeah.
Like,
your commitment is everything.
Yeah. It's everything.
I liked your word is your world that our coach always says,
I love
because
that.
it's how you set up everything around you. If you make that promise, if you commit to something, it's how are you going to deliver that? And then if you can't deliver it, how are you going to communicate and recommit? It's just like constant recommitments, right? Yeah. And so going back to the target market, I think it's important to re-look at your clients every year, right? Like, take a look at your client list of actually who worked with you and actually who was a good fit, who enjoyed their process, who gave you good feedback, right? And I think it's important to realign and ensure every year that is your target market. I mean, I think things can shift. I think a company grows just like a human grows, and maybe that target market shifts a little bit, right? I think it happens. I mean, when we went from make readies to kitchens and baths to full homes to additions, target markets shift a little and they expand, right? The same people who do make readies aren't necessarily the same people signing up with us to do kitchen bathrooms, aren't the same people who sign up with us to do full homes, but they have a general similarity in that they're willing to pay for our service. They think it's worth the money because it's not something they understand or specialize in, right? It's worth paying an expert to know at the end of the day, there's a guarantee, there's a promise, right? And there's a company behind this. So if a vendor gets sick or if a permit error happens, we have a whole team of people that understand what the next steps are, right? But you as a homeowner, that's not your day-to-day job. To me, I think of our job just as similar as, specialists like a CPA or a lawyer or somebody that waxes you or somebody that, sets up catering, or, I mean, no matter what industry you're in, there's a reason that there's so many different jobs and roles. And it's because they fully understand what it takes to do that job really well. Can you hire Bob to come in one day and, fluff your house up and hope it goes okay? Yeah, you can. And the more knowledge and expertise that I think that might go better than somebody else who doesn't understand. But it's like, how do you know that they're doing the work really well? And how do you know that they're going to come back? How do you know they're not going to run away with your money? How do you know that it's not going to break within a few months? Or, how do you know there's a warranty? How do you know that they have insurance? How do you know they're not going to make a humongous mistake because they actually don't know what they're doing?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that any company is perfect. I think there are risks signing up with a one-man show or a one-woman show versus a small company like ours, medium and large. I think there are all sorts of risks, right? Because larger companies had more resources, but then you're just a number to them in a way. I feel like smaller companies, we have limited resources, but we can commit to what we can commit to, right? If somebody's communicating what they can actually do, then I think it hits home.
Yeah. And then chasing your word after it.
Yeah.
Which we've proven time and time again that we will and that we do.
Yeah.
I think too, like finding your niche with niche.
Our niche. Okay. Shower niches. It's because you're used to saying shower niches. Michelle and I decided before this that it's shower niches, but then your niche sounds fancier.
Yeah.
Because we looked up online and we were like, you can say it. Online told us you can say it both ways.
Yeah. And
that it is correct. But shower niches and then niches in the market.
Uh-huh. So what you said is I think too, looking back, is like, don't be afraid to say no to clients, And I think not just like no buy, but when you find your target market, it's not that you can't take on other people outside of that. But I think earlier on, I wish we really focused more on who was our target market, who did we enjoy working with, and what made our jobs more fun. When you just vibe with people, it's just fun. And I wish we could have gone back and not said yes to everybody because we were so focused on just building the company and growth that we didn't take a step back to say, like, is this actually conducive to the company's growth and to the health of our team? Because if it's not, like, what impact is it leaving on the team and their mental health? Because that's that's huge. And if that impact is negative and it's constantly negative or multiple times being negative, then you're losing your team. Then you've got another problem, right? So I think that I wish we did that a little bit sooner in the game.
I agree. Not saying yes to every single client just because there's a dollar amount next to them. I think sometimes it's easy to get lost in, well, we can hit this revenue target if we still sign them. And it's important to stay focused on, but is this going to wear us down as a team?
Yeah.
By saying yes to this person and trying to go, there's a difference between going above and beyond and then going, there's a difference in going above and beyond versus just going outside of your wheelhouse, right? Just to try and help someone in a way that isn't conducive to what your business actually is, right? And every time we don't follow our process, we essentially create a gap or we create a liability or something that I feel like, let me rephrase. I feel like when we don't follow our process, we create an opening, which is potentially a liability because we don't have a process for it, right? And because we're not sticking to our process, that is where we've always seen issues. And so we really stick to our process. I think that that's one of our unique features when we talk about that competitive analysis. We've always had a clear process. It's just through the years we've refined it and really followed it. I think that's something we get a ton of feedback on, is that people understand the vision and the path that they're on when they're working with us, and they appreciate the clear process. They appreciate all of our unique added features, right? Mm-hmm. We're able to identify, okay, if we can control change orders and make sure contingencies stay under 5%, which we always do, then that's a unique feature. When you're telling someone that you can somewhat foresee the future, you don't know exactly what's going to come up, but it will be less than 5% of their total budget once the project is started, then like, where do I sign? Right? You want that guarantee. You want to know what the future is holding for you. And that's something we've always been proud of. And I mean, same thing with our material management process, our vetted subs. I think all of these things you figure out through the process as we've talked about this whole episode. So, I mean, just as a recap, I think it's really listening, it's surveying, it's getting curious and focusing on your target market. It's looking at your competitive analysis, looking at your competitors.
Getting feedback.
Yep. Always getting feedback, testing things out, and not being afraid to change things as needed.
Yeah.
So next week, we're going to talk about our business coach and our experience in coaching and what we recommend when looking for a coach and the positive experience that we've had.
Thanks for listening. Subscribe and follow us so we can share our journey with other like-minded women. You can visit our show notes for affiliate links, transcript, and other resources on our podcast page.
And if you want to see our stunning remodels, give us a follow on Instagram at Simply Home Austin. See you next time. Bye, y'all.